Shake it for your hood if it's all good. Shake.
Four NFL teams, 2 conference championship games, and only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get 200 in free bets instantly. Not a new customer? You can feel the conference championship thrills with step-up same-game parlays. Take your shot at an even bigger NFL payout and boost your winnings with each leg you add up to 100%. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code SOTS. New customers can bet just $5 on the conference championships and get 200 in free bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the promo code SOTS. You have to be 21 plus to enter and officially residing in Louisiana. And if you know someone with a gambling problem, crisis counseling is available by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. $200 in free bets valid, 1 per new customer. Minimum $5 deposit, minimum $5 bet, promo code required. $200 issued as free bets that expires 7 days, 168 hours after being awarded. Free bets must be wagered one time and stakes is not included in any or winnings. Step up same game parlays. One step up same game parlay token issued per eligible NFL playoff game. After opt-in, minimum $1 bet, max bet limit apply. Minimum 3 legs each. Leg minimum. Minus 300 odds total bet plus 100 odds or longer. Profits boost up to 100%. 10 plus legs for 100% boost. Promotional offer period ends 2/12/23 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
Yeah, this is interesting, Andrew, because when this all started, the assumption was as soon as Sean Payton decides where he's going to go, then everyone else will know where they're going to go, and then the coaching searches will resume from there. It's now reached a different point, and if you go through the different places that Sean Payton has interviewed, it does not seem like a second interview is coming with any of those places. First of all, the Carolina Panthers where he already interviewed, have Frank Reich and Steve Wilkes, along with Kellen Moore, in for second/first interviews there. That seems to be the list as of now. You have the Denver Broncos, who seem to be focusing their attention elsewhere. Not saying he's out, but they do seem to be focusing elsewhere. You have the Houston Texans, who have not yet requested a second interview with Sean Payton. And then he's going to the Arizona Cardinals for a first interview. That is going to be tomorrow, assuming they get through the Dan Quinn interview and make no moves today. So what am I saying, Mike Garafolo? I'm saying that as of right now, it does not seem like there is a place for Sean Payton. We'll see, but it does not seem like there is a place in the coaching world right now.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time, no matter where you are, wherever you may be. On this edition, we're going to be talking about former Saints head coach Sean Payton and him not finding a team as of right now. And what does that mean for the future of the former head coach? And I'm also going to be taking some of your questions, and we're going to be breaking down some of the storylines that involve the New Orleans Saints, and also getting everybody geared up for next week. Everybody knows next week is the Senior Bowl, where you get a glimpse at some of the guys that could possibly end up on your team. We know last year Trevor Penning took part in the Senior Bowl, and a guy that a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation will have their eyes on will be there in Hendon Hooker. So we're going to be talking about that also. But let's go ahead and talk about head coach Sean Payton. What you just heard was from the NFL Network, Ian Rappaport, talking a little bit about Sean Payton. We know that Sean Payton was a well sought out coach. Everybody wanted Sean Payton at the end of the season. And a lot of us thought that Sean Payton will probably have a job by now. But Sean Payton, it seems like to me, is loving the courting process. You know, anytime, you got a guy who has an ego, and he does, you like to be pampered, wined and dined, and talked about how great you are and how you're going to save a franchise. We know that Sean Payton has experience in that because he saved the Saints franchise. I mean, we got to give him credit where credit is due. I mean, nobody was checking for the New Orleans Saints before he got here. But I think what was happening with Sean Payton, in my honest opinion, I think what's happening is a dose of reality. Sean Payton is an incredibly talented coach, and everybody know what he means to your offense. I mean, he's an offensive mastermind. But I think that what we're actually seeing right now, and this is something that I was afraid of, and as I've been watching the postseason, I was like, man, it might be tough for Sean Payton just to get a job, especially what he's asking for. Some people are saying that he's asking for $20 to $25 million. I don't know. That never came out his mouth, but it just seemed like that's the number everybody just throwing around. 20 to 25 million dollars. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know this. We like Sean Payton a lot. He's well respected, but let's call a spade a spade. All right, let's call a spade a spade. Sean Payton has done a lot of winning. I think he's won like 60% of his games as a coach. He has a Super Bowl championship to his record. But when you think about it and you peel it all back, Sean Payton is basically Mike McCarthy with personality. I mean, you look at how people look at Mike McCarthy, how they look at him as a lame duck coach, a guy that doesn't, give a lot of motivation. Guys kind of have to get their own motivation, but he's a good coach. He wins a lot of games. I said on the last show, what's the difference between Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton? There's not much of a difference, except Sean Payton is a little bit more outspoken. He's more, he's more vocal than a guy like Mike McCarthy. And I think that a lot of people look at that and they say, well, I want him on the team. But Sean Payton only has one Super Bowl with a legendary quarterback. And I think that teams are looking at some of these young guys, like they seen Kevin O'Connell go to the Minnesota Vikings, had them winning 12 games. They're watching Brian Daboll turn around a New York Giants team and also helping a quarterback that a lot of people thought that probably wouldn't even get an extension in Daniel Jones. And I think that they look at those guys, they're younger, they're offensively innovative, and they come at a cheaper price. And I think that these owners are saying, hey, we may not be able to get Sean Payton, but we may be able to get the new Sean Payton. We've seen this happen with so many of these teams out here. Guys who didn't have coaching experience, and they get an opportunity to be a head coach, and they knock it out the park. And I just feel like that is one of the main reasons why Sean Payton doesn't have a job right now. Because if you're an owner, you don't want to just hand over your team to a coach. You just don't want to hand it over. Like, this is your team. And you also want to get general managers in a place, and you don't want them to feel manipulated or alienated. And they want to get their staff together. So I think what Sean Payton is asking for, because it seems like to me he wants his hand on the draft picks. He wants his hand on the personnel. He wants his hands on everything that's going on within the organization. Now, that worked in New Orleans because he came into a situation where, I mean, hope was lost. And he gave this organization hope. And you had the owner of the Saints at the time, the late, great Tom Benson, that was willing to give him anything he wanted because he wanted to keep him happy. But you have these other teams out here, man, they know your track record, but they also don't want to change their team around completely to appease you, especially if it's not like you're Bill Belichick or something like that. It's not like we're talking 6 Super Bowls here, not even talking 2. So, yeah, we can do a lot of winning, but there's a lot of coaches out here that can give us what we need at a cheaper price, and we don't have to worry about what the GM is going to think about them. The GM can be comfortable in his job. The coach can be comfortable in their job, and the owners can be comfortable, allowing the organization to be ran smoothly. So I think that is what's really going on here. Now, what does that mean for the New Orleans Saints? If they don't get anything for Sean Payton, that just means that they're SOL. And I think y'all know what that means. And look, let's just be real about it. Let's just cut the crap. Just because the Saints would make a trade for a first-round pick does not mean that guy is going to come in and just change your franchise. We know at the minimum, the Saints probably going to be getting a mid to a late round draft pick. So it's not like this person is about to come in and change the whole world. Maybe they could. But from what I've seen over the last couple of years, I don't see that happening. What the Saints need to do, they need to focus on how they can be formidable in 2023. And even if Sean Payton does go back to television, you still should have some type of plan in place just in case that don't happen. If the New Orleans Saints are sitting around waiting for Sean Payton to find a home and for them to get draft compensation in a first-round draft pick, then I'm more concerned about this team than I think we should be more concerned about this team than we should be. It's just that simple. But that's the way I feel about it. I just think that this is a dose of reality, and also this could be like a shot to your ego too. Like Ian Rappaport just said, I mean, not many second interviews are going around. Now, he does have an interview lined up with the Arizona Cardinals, but based on what we're hearing that Sean Payton wants, doesn't seem like the Arizona Cardinals are trying to appease that, right? They already got their general manager and they already getting their plans in place to go forward in 2023. And it's kind of like we're going to get a coach up in here and the coach got to get with it or get lost. Don't know what it's going to be like. But, Sean Payton, I just think that this was a dose of reality. And also, I look at Sean Payton and, I'm saying all the winning that he did and the fact that how he left, I don't know, man. I feel bad for saying this, but maybe this is the chickens coming home to roost. Maybe you're not as hot as you thought you were. Like, yeah, you're a good coach and people want you, but maybe you aren't as hot as you thought you were. You're sitting on TV and you got all these insiders out here talking about, oh, this team wants Sean. Oh, that team wants Sean. Oh, this and that team wants Sean. And now all of a sudden, like, you can't even get a second interview. So I think that this could be a little bit of a rude awakening. Maybe you should have stayed your ass where you was at. I'm just saying. Like, maybe you should have been focusing on trying to, I don't know, help the team and make them better and not leave them in the mess that you created. Because I'm going to continue to say this. Sean Payton created this mess that the Saints are in. He had control for the most part over player personnel, who they're selecting, and I just think that was a little bit of a cop-out. And I really don't feel like enough people are holding his feet to the fire when you look at the condition of this team and what they're leaving Jeff Ireland and Mickey Loomis to deal with. This man had an opportunity to try to push these guys to draft a quarterback, and he didn't. Ain't nothing wrong with holding on to Drew Brees because, as y'all can see, like good quarterback play is hard to come by. But you should at least had a succession plan. You should at least try to do what you could possibly do in order to have a succession plan. But you didn't. In the first line of trouble, what you seen this team, you was ready to exit stage left. And you was willing to go somewhere else with an established quarterback in Tom Brady and leave this team high and dry. So I don't think that he gets enough criticism for that, because the Saints are in this situation because of Sean Payton. We are upset and frustrated as Saints fans because of Sean Payton's doing. This man dipped out the door on the New Orleans Saints when the first line of trouble happened. And, like I said, I just think that this is a tough dose of reality. People are starting to figure out that it can find themselves younger coaches, hungrier coaches, and these guys are developing quarterbacks, and they're coming up with offensive game plans, and it's fresh and it's new and it's exciting. So you look at guys like Zach Taylor, you look at guys like Mike LaFleur, you look at Matt LaFleur, I think they're brothers. Matt LaFleur, you look at Matt LaFleur out there in Green Bay, you look at Brian Daboll out there in New York, you look at Kevin O'Connell out there in Minnesota, you look at Mike McDaniel out there in Miami. There's a youth movement going on in the NFL, and they're getting these young coaches with their bright minds, their energy, their enthusiasm, and their ability to be able to relate to today's player. And you can get them for the low. Okay, you ain't got to be sitting up here paying them $20 to $25 million. So I think that this is a tough dose of reality for the former head coach of the Saints. Let me go ahead and read some of your comments. We can buy a break as a franchise. Well, look, I think what we're going through right now is a little bit of a dry spell, but this is when your personnel, your front office, this is when this comes into play to help you out, right? This is what we really see what we have when it comes to the front office. This is what we really figure out what we have as far as players. So right now, it's just a little bit of a tough outing, but I think that a lot of the Saints' problems is coaching. I think they got the right players. I think they got the right guys in the locker room, but I just think that you need somebody to coach them, and for those guys to be able to buy in. And I don't know if they're fully bought into Dennis Allen. I just don't. Anybody but Carr or Rodgers or Brady or Jimmy G, I don't know. Look, I already gave my take about what I feel about what the Saints should do. I was talking about Trey Lance. I said that if the New Orleans Saints were to get their hands on a first-round pick, a late first-round pick, I would use that to try to get Trey Lance. And people looked at me and, they thought I was crazy. Because what people are looking at is Brock Purdy's production. They're looking at Brock Purdy and they're saying things like, oh, well, he can't even get his job back because Brock Purdy took his job. Brock Purdy did not take Trey Lance's job. Trey Lance got hurt. Brock Purdy came in after Jimmy G got hurt. So if anything, he took Jimmy G's job. And now he's playing at a high level, and he's about to play in the NFC Championship game. I still believe in guys. Look, I'm not one of those guys that look at the dirt sheets. I'm not one of those guys that listen to everything a talking head does, and then I put it into my psyche, and then when that person's name comes up, then I'm talking about how bad they is, and I'm regurgitating what a person says verbatim. The guy got hurt. The guy got hurt, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he's extremely talented, and he was a third pick overall for a reason. people act like this man was out here throwing a bunch of interceptions before he got hurt. This man was playing relatively well. Was he playing like a young quarterback? Yes, because just like most quarterbacks do when they're young. But I feel like this dude would be a great addition. I feel like he's young. I feel like he has a really good arm. I feel like the Saints play 8 home games inside of a controlled environment in a dome. They play 1 game on the road versus the Atlanta Falcons in a stadium. That's a dome game. So you got a guy with this type of arm talent, this type of arm strength, this type of escapability playing in 9 dome games per season. And people don't feel like this dude could have what it takes to win because people are talking about what Brock Purdy is doing. I would trade Trey Lance over anybody that's in the draft that the Saints gonna pick. I like Hendon Hooker a lot, but I don't feel like Hendon Hooker is better than Trey Lance. I feel like Trey Lance, like ceiling, is that of like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Hendon Hooker ceiling is probably Teddy Bridgewater or Geno Smith the way he's playing right now. Like, and that's not too bad. But, I still think that Trey Lance's ability is better. And, I think that he will be a great addition to the team if they could do that. But if they can't and Sean Payton can't get a job, then, yeah, I feel like you should draft a guy like Hendon Hooker. I think that he would be a good fit, especially in a Dennis Allen type of, on the Dennis Allen team when they don't want him to take too many risks. He'll love him. TJ, what is the likelihood that all the teams Sean visit think he's overestimating his value with a 20-25 million a year asking price? Well, I don't know. That probably, like I said, King, I think that it plays a huge role. I think it plays a huge role in why this guy doesn't have a job right now. I think that the reason why he doesn't have a job is because I think he has a different view of himself than what probably other people have of him. Like, yeah, you won a lot of games, and yeah, you're a good coach, but you only got 1 Super Bowl, and you played with a legendary quarterback. And I look, if we gonna sit up here and talk about Mike McCarthy and talk about how he ain't good enough, and he won 13 games, and he has 1 Super Bowl, and he had a legendary quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Why can't we have this conversation about Sean Payton? Like, Sean Payton, to me, I don't know how he does it. Like, Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton are basically the same coach, except Sean Payton has a little bit more personality. Sounds like to me Sean should have stayed his behind put. He bet on himself, and now it's looking bad for him. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he'll find a job. Like, don't get me wrong. He'll find a job because there's a team out there that would acquire his services. But all I'm saying is you just ain't as hot as you thought you was. That's the way I feel about it. You ain't as hot as you thought you was. I don't know if he thought he was just going to go into a meeting and, kind of throw his weight around and come up in there and start talking football, and those guys were just going to get blown away. Man, he's like, these owners, they want to win. But at the same time, like, they don't want to like lose control of their team. And when they feel like you have like a certain type of personality, they think about their own personality and how it would be able to work. So, I just think that, he has a false sense of, I don't want to say a false sense of reality. I think he has a inflated view of himself, and other people may not have that same opinion about him. I'm wondering if Sean Payton come crawling back to New Orleans, do they fire DA if he tries? No, they ain't gonna fire Dennis Allen. They won't fire Dennis Allen for that. They made their decision to go with Dennis Allen. They're gonna stick with it. So it's best for Sean Payton to 1, find a team this year, or 2, go back to television. This team looking at how he left and probably looking at it like, well, damn, he left them like that. What makes us different? Well, you could say that, he left and he wanted to take on a new challenge. I mean, he was with the Saints for 15 years, right? As a head coach, you don't really see too many head coaches staying in a place that long. He can say that he wanted to take on a new challenge. But, that, man, look, I don't think if a coach or a player can help you win, Ain't nobody caring about any of that stuff. All right, they're not caring about that. They just care about if he can help them win. Let's see. He say I'm hiding his feet. He quits on us. Point blank. Well, look, I don't know if the guy. Well, yeah, I say that. Yeah, he quit on the team. He quit on the team, and those guys know that. They know that. They know that the guy quit on the team. They know he did, and I mean, you can't go back into a locker room after everybody knows that, and you have people out here that is delusional that just feel like, man, he said at the podium and said that he need to step away because he need a mental health break. Man, Sean Payton is a liar. Man, I can't do it. Like, the dude lied. The dude wanted to go to Miami. There's source after source. There's actual proof that this actually happened. Brian Flores blew the whistle. It's the reason why he's not in Miami right now. So all this stuff about he don't know if he was gonna come back. Yeah, he knew. He knew. He was just trying to smooth it over with the fans so the fans won't be upset. But I would be honest, Brian Flores saved Sean Payton's reputation in the eyes of Saints fans. Because how bad would that have looked if he would have stood at that podium and decided to retire and say all these things about he need to step away and he need to work on himself mentally and all that kind of stuff there, and then a couple weeks later he show up as the Miami Dolphins head coach? All Saints fans, I don't care if you was the most loyal Sean Payton supporter, everybody would have been mad and ticked off at the way he left. So in my opinion, Brian Flores saved his reputation. He saved it. Because everybody would have looked at Sean Payton as a Judas, a liar, and a manipulator. So it's probably was the best thing that ever happened to him. Brian Flores blew that whistle. Because if he would have ended up in Miami, it would have been a problem. Longer it goes, the worse for the Saints. He don't get a coaching job. We are so screwed. Well, look, all hope is not lost. Okay, all hope is not lost if the Saints don't have a first round pick. We've seen this, a couple of years ago, right? I want to say, like, then back in, what was that, 2019? They didn't have a first round draft pick, did they? They didn't have a first round draft pick. That's the one that they traded to the Green Bay Packers for Davenport, right? So in 2019, they didn't have a first round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Did they have a first round pick? I don't think they did. So, I mean, look, things ain't all bad. I could be wrong now. I could be wrong. I don't know if they finagled their way back into the first round or not. I'm not sure, but I don't think they had one. It's reported that he will have a second interview with Denver, and they want their owner to be involved. He is on a hunting trip. Yeah, okay. Well, that's yeah. I know he had the second interview with the Denver Broncos. That one I did know. But I guess he was talking about from the interviews that he did with the other teams, they didn't act for a second interview. I'm going to stroll down a little bit, man, try to catch up because there was a lot that was said. I agree, Bryant's, any young quarterback under DA would be a tough role for them. Yeah, and that's why I'm just wondering. I think a lot of Saints fans who have a problem with, the whole Trey Lance thing, because yeah, people up there, trying to dispute that. Oh, Trey Lance ain't it. Like, how do you know the dude ain't it? Like, that's my biggest problem with some of you Saints fans. Like, y'all, first off, don't have an opinion of your own. Now, I ain't talking about everybody. You don't have an opinion of your own. You basically have manufactured opinions that's put into your psyche, and then you just put it out there. And you have absolutely no patience. None. Like, if a guy don't get off the bus, throwing the ball, slinging it like Mahomes, running people over like he Earl Campbell and Adrian Peterson combined, or if he's not catching balls over people's head like he Randy Moss, people feel like he ain't good enough. And it's just amazing to me how people just quick to try to write a guy off after 1 year. Or, if a guy isn't everything that he panned out in a few seasons. Like, that don't mean that the guy is bad. That don't mean that the guy can't be serviceable. That doesn't mean that a guy can't, win you football games. So that just kind of frustrates me, man. Like, give a guy a chance. Give a guy opportunity. And it just don't make sense. Like, just admit, like, you just want a shiny new toy. Like, don't tell me that you're going to use a first round pick on a quarterback and you wouldn't want to trade for your first round pick for a quarterback. First off, you didn't have a first round pick to begin with. How can you miss something you never had? Right? So if you were going to get a quarterback, if you were going to get a quarterback in the first round, it's a gamble. I don't care who they are. Oh, I don't care if you get CJ Stroud, it's a gamble. I don't care if you get Bryce Young, it's a gamble. I don't care if you get Will Levis, it's a gamble. I don't care if you get Anthony Richardson. It is a gamble. Regardless. It is a gamble every time you pick a player because you don't know if that guy's going to pan out. So I just don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, he hurt. Well, the guy that everybody wants the Saints to get, isn't he hurt right now? Isn't Hendon Hooker hurt? Doesn't he have a torn ACL? Now, I know you can come back from a torn ACL because it's not a death sentence like it used to be. But don't tell me that your deal breaker with Trey Lance is because he's hurt and then want to turn around and say you want Hendon Hooker, who is hurt. And then they'll say, oh, Trey Lance only had 1 year production. He only had 1 year production. Well, didn't Hendon Hooker have like 1 year of production? Like, what did he do? Like, I didn't hear about this dude until he got to the University of Tennessee. I know where he came from. I know he came from Virginia Tech, right? Came from Virginia Tech, went to Tennessee, lit it up, just like Trey Lance did in that 1 year. He lit it up. So what's the difference? And then I can even make an argument. Like, how impressive, like, not to knock Hendon Hooker, but how impressive was it that you threw for all them yards and all them touchdowns? The quarterback that replaced you in a bowl game threw for 5 touchdowns. So are you that good or are you a product of the system? So you can make an argument for every situation. I'm just looking at it like you can find yourself a quarterback. First off, you need, if you're trying to save money, you're trying to get a quarterback on a rookie deal, right? So why not get a quarterback that's been in the league, that's established, the game to slow down for him, and he's still on a rookie deal? And guess what? He the same amount of time that you would have to evaluate your second round quarterback would be the same amount of time that it would take for you to have to evaluate Trey Lance before you pay him. So what's the difference? What's the difference, folks? There is none. Except the fact that, Hendon Hooker is not in the league and we all want to see that guy come to the podium and put that Saint jersey up and want us to, feel like we got the, all hope and everything like that. And it's the same thing. What up, TJ? This is Whiteley Jeremiah. I don't understand why Sean Payton doesn't play the head coach on any team in next season. I'd rather he go back to Fox, as an analyst on Fox in next season. I hope our team to change the narrative from disappointing and embarrassing season. If Dennis Allen needs to change the everything from his cleanup time head coach, he needs to change the key playbook. Pete Carmichael needs his play calling skills to them offensive linemen on the field because there's a lot going on there, Whiteley. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's some things that need to change. I don't understand why the Saints decided not to change it. Besides the fact that I just feel like, they just not – I don't know. It just got tank written all over. And I'm not talking about Javonte Davis. TJ, what are your top 3 performances from this season from any team? I would have to think about that one, Keno. I would have to think about that one. Facts, TJ. I can't say Trey lacks a fit or not. I haven't seen enough of him to say it. Like I say, I just don't know. Like I just don't get like how people could just write people off like that. I just don't. Man, no, they did. Like, watch one episode of First Take. What happened with Trey Lance right here? It seems like he's rushing the football. Yeah, man, he ain't it right there. So with that boy name come up, Trey Lance. Nah, he ain't it. Like, man, miss me with that, man. How much footage have you watched of this dude play? How many dimes have you seen this dude play? I mean, throw. How many times have you actually seen the 49ers play? Probably not too many times. So I just say, man, people don't know, man. Like, you can't know what a person is. This guy's only been like this dude only been in the league for like what 2 seasons. So how can you just say that a dude ain't it based on 2 seasons? Like, come on, man, give me a freaking break. Like I said, even if he doesn't like that was just something I just suggested. But let's just say he goes somewhere else. Who's to say that dude go to another team and don't light it up? And then you somewhere with a bunch of tweets that just, just overblown and lacks logic. Trey Lance is a question mark. We have to see him in regular season. I saw him in a regular season. This man made some really good decisions. This guy can move around with the football. Yeah, he's a little raw when it comes to the, throwing the football. But what young rookie isn't? Like Joe Burrow is like an outlier. You know what I'm saying? Joe Burrow ability to kind of sling it. Patrick Mahomes is an outlier. Most quarterbacks that you get are not going to just get off the bus being good. Like, look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts last year, he wasn't that good. Look at him this year. Like, it takes time for guys to develop. And, you got to be patient. I just think that sometimes when you grab a guy and if the guy isn't automatically just everything you want him to be and more, it just all of a sudden then everybody just like, oh, man, he ain't it. He ain't it. Like, why? Why you do that? Like, give a guy opportunity to grow and develop. I feel bad for a lot of these young guys. These guys can't grow because the fan base has absolutely no patience at all to allow these guys to be everything they can be. Chosen, I would not want Trey Lance here as long as Allen is the head coach. All I can say is the Saints, they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback, and you need somebody young. So what can you do? Or are we just want somebody that's a veteran quarterback that's just out there? Like, we want better at the quarterback position. So we're going to have to trust these dudes somehow. Like, we're going to have to do something. Unless we just going to, subject ourselves to Andy Dalton one more time. And I don't think nobody wants that. I don't think anybody wants Andy Dalton. I don't. Look, I will say this. I'd rather Taysom Hill go out there and be the starting quarterback over Andy Dalton. Like, I'm serious, man. I'm Andy Dalton has done nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've seen worse quarterbacks, but I'm just over that, man. Like, you can do better than that. All that nonsense comes from people that don't do research but just read clickbait. Trey Lance is not a bad player. He only played 8 games, and those so-called Saints fans always talking crazy. Look, there were some valid points that were made about him. Okay, the question marks about the injury. Okay, that's fair enough. But, man, the skill sets of these quarterbacks now, you're going to see more injuries at the quarterback position. That's just what it is, man. Jalen Hurts was dealing with a shoulder injury. Justin Fields was dealing with a shoulder injury and a knee injury. Lamar Jackson was dealing with a PCL injury. Like, what you're going to get, and this is what people just going to have to realize. Quarterbacks that can escape out of the pocket, that can make plays with their legs, are more susceptible of getting hurt. That's just the truth. Like, guys like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow can escape outside the pocket, but he's more of a pocket passer. Like Patrick Mahomes, he can escape outside the pocket, but he's more of a pocket passer. And he's dealing with an ankle injury right now. So all I'm saying is, like, when people say, well, the quarterback hurt, but like, look at the skill set now. Look at the modern day quarterback. Like, I'm pretty sure if you probably do some percentages, you're going to see like guys that have that ability to escape and take advantage of that. They are more likely to get hurt. And that's just going to happen. I'm not saying that a guy isn't good enough because he got hurt. Like, I ain't seen enough. Like, I ain't seen this dude out here just flailing the ball all over the place, throwing picks left and right. The games that I seen, yes, like there was some passes that he missed, right? But there was some real good passes that he threw as well that I seen that I know that some of these quarterbacks in the league can't make. So I think he has great upside. I just think that people just need to I think people just need to chill out. Get that man a chance. Like if we having this conversation around year 6, year 7, then I think you can call it a spade. But let's see. Trey Lance does have enough tape out and is injury prone in 2 seasons already. Well, I think what I seen on tape, I think he was pretty doggone good. I'm sorry. I think he was pretty doggone good. And like I said, guys get injured all the time. Lamar Jackson was a league MVP, and he's been hurt for 2 straight seasons, right? I mean, does that mean that he trash? Does that mean he not good? Like, I mean, all I'm saying is guys get hurt. You look at the modern day quarterback and those guys being able to run and escape out the pocket, you're going to see injuries. That's just what it is. But I would take Trey Lance on my team. And I guarantee you, I'm so confident in this. I guarantee you, if Trey Lance was to come to the New Orleans Saints, the Saints will make the playoffs and win the division by at least 3 games next season. That's how confident I am in this dude, and his talent and his ability, and what his talent and ability can do in a controlled environment 9 games out of the season. I'm just telling you, I'm that confident in this dude. I don't think there's, and like I said, including Hendon Hooker, I don't think there's a quarterback that the Saints will be able to pick in the 2nd round that will be better than this dude. Trey hasn't played a full season and he's a bust. People can't just go off what they hear from TV. Man, all I gotta say is just get this dude some time. Just get this dude some time. LOL, we sat through a season of Andy Dalton and people are complaining about Trey Lance as wild. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I do know this. I'm telling you, if the Saints get this dude, they making the playoffs. And I guarantee you, they're going to have a lot of people out here eating a hell of a lot of crow. That dude is a good quarterback. He is a good quarterback. Like, people up here, like, man, I'm telling you. If that the case was saying Trey's not it, but was or the Chris Olave and Shaheed trained the first year saying it's the same thing that's hypocritical. Give guys a chance like you do others. Yeah, I mean, look, if this man was out here, like, if people were singing this dude's praises before he got injured, nobody would be having this conversation. Nobody would be having this conversation at all. If this dude, like, if they was hyping this dude up and he got hurt, and I mentioned Trey Lance, nobody would have said anything. Like, I'm telling you, man, all the, like, I feel like the opinions, and like I said, they're valid. You know what I'm saying? If you're concerned about his injuries, but to say that a guy is not good after 2 years, like after one, like he had 1 year as a starter. That's why I don't understand like how people can be like, man, Jameis ain't it. Like the last time you seen Jameis as a starter, like full starter, like the dude went 5-2 and threw 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And then all of a sudden, like the dude was playing with injuries, and then it's like, man, I told you weren't it. Like it's like you were just waiting for the bottom to drop. All I'm saying is you gotta give people opportunities, man. Like you gotta give people opportunities. And who's to say? Like it was early in the season when the dude got hurt. So who's to say that he won't be able to turn it around? I often mention Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions and he threw what? 2 the next game. He had 6 interceptions in the first 2 weeks. Everybody was like, man, what's going on with Joe Burrow? Like, not Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game, balling out. So you got to give people opportunities, man, to be able to play through stuff. Like, I just think that sometimes we become prisoners of the moment. They got to get away from that. Give guys an opportunity. How about we get Justin Fields? Didn't he play with Olave? Yeah, I mean, yeah, Justin Fields, that's another person. Like people talking about, man, the Bears need to get Bryce Young. Why? I mean, Justin Fields, this was his first year as a starter. And people already talking about this, like, you need to get Bryce Young. Like, what kind of logic is that? What kind of logic is that? Like, give young quarterbacks an opportunity to, like, grow and develop. for God's sakes. Sheesh. Trade Mike T for Trey Lance. Since Chicago is getting another quarterback, who needs a receiver? Man, the Bears are not getting another quarterback. Justin Fields is their quarterback. They are not getting Bryce Young. You do not draft a quarterback after 1 year of a guy playing. Like a guy that you drafted in a top 10? This is his first year as a starter. You do not do that, man. Like, where they do that at? Like, I can understand, like, if a guy, like, had a terrible work ethic. What have you seen, like, from Justin Fields that you feel like you can't build on? Like, the dude, he broke, like, Michael Vick record for rushing yards. He threw for, you know what I'm saying? Like, and dude be taking over games. He got a good spin on the ball. Him and Moody out there, you know, they making plays. I mean, I don't know if people were actually watching these games, or they just watching TV and watching what these guys are saying about them. All I'm saying is, like, find you some DirecTV Sunday ticket. And I know a lot of times you're not really watching these games because for the most part, when these guys are playing, the Saints on TV. So unless you like watching the red zone or something like that, and even with the red zone, it's not giving you a complete like a complete analysis of what the game is. It just show you like plays when a team is inside the red zone. So I'm just saying, like, are we watching these guys? I don't like, if I hear people talking about a guy playing bad, I'll go back and I'll take a look, or I'll go, start like going research or something. I'm not taking cliff notes and coming on somewhere or typing something like I'm the smartest person in the room. Because sometimes you find out that it ain't all what you think that it is. Give guys opportunity to play out of whatever the heck they doing and allow them to get better. If he would have played this season, you right, TJ, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Facts, TJ. 49ers are not going to let Trey Lance go. He's still on his rookie contract. I think they will let him and Purdy battle it out in training camp. Both are under rookie deals. Yeah, look, Trey Lance was the third pick in the draft, which means, clearly you get way more money than Brock Purdy. But I'm pretty sure Brock Purdy getting paid now. I mean, you got to get them starter bonuses and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure he's getting a nice little check now. But I do agree with what you're saying. They probably going to have them battle it out. But what happens if, Brock Purdy wins, or they want to go with Brock Purdy because he playing well and he cheaper? So why not shop him around? You can actually get something back for Trey Lance in return, and you can get your money. Or if Trey Lance go out there and be, slinging that ball around and he look like eons better, and it is just no doubt, then you can trade Brock Purdy to somebody. It's a win-win for the 49ers. 49ers, like, one thing you can say about the 49ers, they're going to get some production out these quarterbacks. Now, you can talk about, like, the playmakers that they have. Those guys can get their yard after the catch. I think we all know that, but, yeah. They haven't even given Justin Fields a chance. No weapons or O-line. And they already want his head gone. I don't understand it. I don't. I just believe in giving guys opportunities, and injuries occur. Injuries are going to happen. I think that people just, they want these guys to be Iron Men, but that's not always the case. Guys get hurt, but that's not an indication of who they are and what their future is going to be. If that was the case, Detroit Lions, they would have wrote off Matthew Stafford years ago. Matthew Stafford, like, first 3-4 years of his career, stayed hurt, right? I know y'all remember that classic game where, he threw that touchdown, he was grabbing his shoulder or whatever. Like, he was always hurt. They was starting to call him a China dog. Then all of a sudden, like, he had like a 6-7 year span where he was never hurt. He always played. So there are times where guys may get hurt early in their career and then they bounce back and you don't have these issues. Hey, I love Sean to death. Got a picture with him from training camp in 2008, but I don't want him back in New Orleans because I don't trust him. I think a lot of people feel like that, Barbara. How committed are you to this Saints team? What are you here for? Like, how long are we gonna have you? But yeah, and I really feel like if you come back, you're gonna have to change a lot of those guys in that locker room, because like that message that probably would have registered years ago, they probably looking at you sideways, wondering, like, how truthful are you? Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that Cam Jordan blurted out, said, "I'm with you," and then you end up like leaving and being on TV. I know that was towards Sean Payton. No, it was. Fields was actually very impressive. Some of y'all just parroted debate culture shows. Yeah, I mean, look, Justin Fields, if the Chicago Bears draft Bryce Young with the first pick in the draft, they're morons, right? If you ain't trying to get Will Anderson, you're a moron, right? Because you already lost Roquan Smith. He already got himself papered up with Baltimore, so you're gonna need somebody to replace them. So Will, I feel like would be the first pick in the draft. Will Anderson, he better be. If it's not, then man, somebody need to fire that GM. I think the 49ers are going to stick with Purdy as their starter. Well, if he continue to play like that, why not? And he can play. Look, there was some times in that game versus the Cowboys, he had to make some throws. So anybody that just feel like because I was looking at him in that Seattle Seahawks game, and I was like, man, this dude got some playmakers. I mean, he was throwing the ball like 5 yards. And then Chris McCaffrey turning 5 yards to 65 yards. Debo turning 2 yards into 42 yards. I'm like, man, these dudes can get that yak. But when I seen them play, and we can laugh at Dallas all day and night. They got a good defense. They have a good defense. And he was making plays against that defense, and he wasn't turning the ball over. And he was making really good decisions. So I don't think that this is an outlier. I think that guy is really good, and you got to give credit to Kyle Shanahan. I honestly think Trey will be gone before the draft. They saying Trey is worth a third rounder now. Well, if he's worth the third round, I say take advantage of it. I say take advantage of it. If he's worth a third round pick. I saw enough, folks. Trust your eyes. Fans aren't patient. If a rookie quarterback doesn't come in and light it up like Mahomes and Burrow in their first 2 years, these fans want to pull the plug. But here's the reality, and I definitely agree with you on this. Everybody is not going to be an elite quarterback. That's what the problem is. Saints fans are looking for Drew Brees replicas. They're looking for the next Drew Brees because Drew Brees was an elite quarterback. So when they look at guys like Burrow and they look at guys like Mahomes and they look at guys like Josh Allen, with his ability and arm strength, and you look at all these other quarterbacks out here, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, elite quarterbacks. Everybody just think automatically like if you're not on that level, then there's no place for you. Newsflash, there are 32 starting quarterback jobs in the NFL. And out of those 32, you probably can name about 5 that's elite. Guys that are going to win you games, no matter if your defense suck, no matter if your special teams giving up big plays. If they get a chance, they're going to put you in the game. They're going to make it close. They're going to make it interesting. There's only a few guys in the league that can do that. The Saints fans have been spoiled for over 15 years with Drew Brees. So they won't accept anything else other than Drew Brees, which I can understand. You should have high standards, right? When you see a guy play on a high level and play great all those years, you want to see that happen again. But the reality is we may not see that for a long time. And you may have to go with a guy that you can win with, but probably don't possess the talent and the skill set of a Drew Brees that can be able to get you out of situations. But you can't just throw a guy away because he doesn't possess the type of skills of Mahomes or Burrow. That don't mean that there's not a place for him. And I just think that when people look at these quarterbacks and they might throw a pass that's a dime 1 minute, then the next play the ball might sail over their head, then all of a sudden they throwing something at the TV talking about the dude ain't good enough. Everybody is not going to be an elite quarterback, but that doesn't mean that you can't find a place for him. everybody's not going to be elite. And the chances are the Saints finding another Drew Brees, I'm telling you, is slim to none. Is that a quarterback that's going to have the skills, the ability, the knowledge of a Drew Brees? Man, that's Drew Brees is one of those once in a generation type talents. But he made Drew Brees was so great that everybody feels like what he was doing was normal. And that's why we're in this situation, because everybody feels like if it ain't Drew Brees, it is not it. But Drew Brees would made the impossible look possible. So now we got a false sense of reality about what quarterback play is, because we were lucky enough to have a quarterback that other teams wish they had. And now we are in the shoe is on the other foot. If Sean Payton go back to Fox, I think he's waiting on Staley's downfall. Lance gives Trubisky vibes. Big arm and mobile, just needs to work on reads and accuracy. Well, look, that's any quarterback that you could think of. Like let's think about this. What quarterbacks? They're going to be middle of the pack quarterbacks. There are going to be quarterbacks that are not going to throw 70% of their passes. Once again, that's the Drew Brees effect. Drew Brees completed 70% of his passes. All these other quarterbacks, 68, 67, 65. All of a sudden, guy got on the fix like, man, we try to throw him away. I'm telling you, everybody cannot be elite. But that doesn't mean that there's not a play for him. If you put Trey Lance in a certain, if Trey Lance continues to work with Kyle Shanahan, he's going to get better, because Kyle Shanahan is going to coach him to become a better quarterback. So some of the things that he may lack, if he has that dog in him and he wants to be great, then he's going to be great. And I think that he can. I just think that what people seen, they didn't give this dude opportunity to be able to grow and develop and rise to be, you don't know what this dude see. You don't know if Trey Lance would have stayed playing, he would have turned the corner, became much better, and they still would have ended up in the NFC Championship game. We don't know that for sure. The dude got hurt. Draft Spencer Rattler in the second round. I like Spencer Rattler. I ain't gonna lie. He has great arm talent, but he kind of bothers me when it comes to his mental makeup. That's what bothers me about him. I feel like he had his first line of trouble at Oklahoma, right? He started having issues at Oklahoma. Then he ended up getting benched and stuff like that, which I'm pretty sure he probably wouldn't got his job back anyway. Because I think at the time, Caleb Williams was going to go to Oklahoma, so he wasn't going to get it back no way. But I'm just saying, when he started to get in trouble and the crowd started to kind of, turn on him a little bit, then he started to roll off to South Carolina. And I don't know, man. His mental makeup concerns me. I just wonder. I just wonder about him. He has the talent, the arm talent, and ability, but. It takes more than just having arm talent to be a quarterback. When your mental makeup is in question, I don't think you need to do that. What are your thoughts about the draft picks for our team? Two young players from the college, TJ. What I think about the draft picks from our team, two young players. What are we talking about? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Whiteley. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're getting at as far as the draft picks. So if you can kind of expound or kind of elaborate a little bit more, so I can figure out what you're saying. Let's see, TJ. We see that across all leagues. Look at how they took LeBron for granted. You don't have to be a fan in order to give someone their just due. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. We want a quarterback who has a Super Bowl caliber potential, and neither one of those of the two we have fit the bill. Look, look, I get it, but All I'm saying is everybody's not going to be elite. Everybody's not going to be elite. Everybody's not going to everybody's not going to be throwing 300-400 yards a game, but that don't mean that you can't win with them. Now you need a supporting cast. You need a defense, right? You need a defense. You need an O-line. You need a running game. What the Saints' problem was, they had a defense, but they didn't have anything on offense that could, that could actually help Andy Dalton. Nothing. And neither at the time with Jameis Winston. Nothing. Like, you got to be able to run the football. If you have a average quarterback, you better have a good defense, borderline great, and you better have yourself some maulers on the offensive line, and you better have yourself a good running game. If you don't have that, you ain't going nowhere, because you're asking an average quarterback to be above average when they're not. So if you can win like that. We've seen it. We've seen teams go to Super Bowls with mediocre quarterback play. We've seen this. So it's not like it is not possible, but you better have yourself a strong infrastructure. You better have some dogs. You better have some rough riders. If you're gonna do this. But if you can't, then you better have a guy that can win you games and that can erase a deficit like that. If you had like a struggling defense, you got Mahomes, you can do that. Struggling defense, you got Burrow, you can do that. But everybody can't do it because everybody's not elite. We could get Lamar Jackson 2.0 and Malik Cunningham, quarterback, Louisville, number 3. Who that? I don't care who they get, as long as the guy can get the job done. I'm going to take a few more, and then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Not throwing shade on Trubisky, but he had Matt Nagy as a coach, and the Bears is built on the run game and defense during those times. Yeah, look, I just think that with Trubisky, I think that when it came to Mitchell Trubisky, Matt Nagy didn't really focus on this dude's strengths. His strengths was to play action, right? What they should have done is they should have got themselves some running backs that can be able to run a football, that can pound the rock, and allow him to, work with the play action game and be able to get the ball down the field. And I think that he would have had a much better career than what he did. Problem was Matt Nagy was trying to make him something that he wasn't, and that cost him his job, and it cost Mr. Trubisky his job. Spencer Rattler is staying in college. Yeah, that's what I thought. But, I just kind of brought him up because he mentioned him. Let's see. Draft Stetson Bennett. Well, I'll tell you what. His energy, his leadership, you definitely want that on the team. I'd take a flyer on him. Now, I wouldn't say, man, make this dude my starting quarterback, but I'd take a flyer on him. I think that he is competitive enough to push whoever is competing with him. He may not have the talent. He may not have the skills that some of these other quarterbacks, but I think that he would. I think that he'll get these guys a run for their money. Caleb took his job. Yeah, Caleb took Spencer Rattler's job, but he was stinking it up beforehand, And I think, and honestly, I'm gonna be real. I think that had a lot to do with Caleb Williams, and that's the reason why I'm talking about his mental makeup. Because if you look at before Caleb Williams got there, before he got there, he was lighting it up. Like, people were talking about Spencer Rattler being a Heisman Trophy winner. And then all of a sudden, here he comes, and then the next thing you know, like, look how he's playing. So to me, I don't think that's a coincidence. It's a confidence issue. And I don't know if I want that. I don't know. Like, the Saints got enough problems. Need somebody that's going to be a leader and somebody that's going to be confident in themselves. Stetson Bennett could be like a Brock Purdy type steal. Man, I don't want to discredit Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is an outlier. And now I feel like people are going to look at Brock Purdy and they're going to be like, man, Brock Purdy did it. Brock Purdy did it. Brock Purdy. Like, Brock Purdy is an outlier. The chances of you finding a quarterback with the very last pick in the draft or a running back very last pick, a defensive lineman with the very last pick, like, it's slim to none. Like, this dude is a outlier. The only person I can just think about outside of him that has made a career being Mr. Irrelevant is Ryan Suckup. Ryan Suckup, the kicker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's the only guy. Everybody else I ain't seen, play in the league who's Mr. Irrelevant. This dude is outlier. Like, this dude is 1 in a million. I don't want anybody, like, I'm very, very careful at trying to replicate things like this because it does a disservice to the greatness or the great thing that we're actually watching. What this dude is doing is incredible. And you're probably not going to see it again in your lifetime. If it ain't Drew Brees 2.0, they don't want it, TJ. Well, they not going to want a lot of things. They ain't going to want a lot of things because there's only one Drew Brees. Stetson Bennett already read that one. And stroll down a little bit more. Let's see. With this head coach, we're going to need an elite. Yep. Man, watch DA name Hill the starter wouldn't surprise me at all. Hey, if you name him a starter, I wouldn't have no problem with it as long as it ain't Andy Dalton. Drew Brees made Sean Payton. Payton offense is tired and been tired for a decade. I ain't gonna lie, it was looking like 3 yards in the cloud of dust out there. I'm not saying that's what they were doing because we know he ain't like to run the football, but it was looking stale and out of date. And that's what I'm saying. You got a lot of these young coaches out here that's coming in, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and new innovative ideas. They're looking at these high school games. They're looking at all these different plays out there. And you have to give another person credit. You got to give Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy a lot of credit because Andy Reid could be one of those guys that's a tiger that don't want to change his stripes, and he could have just kind of fizzled out. One thing that Andy Reid does that I have a lot of respect for is he is willing to adapt. He is willing to go into the dark corners of a high school football game and try to find something that he can actually implement on a Saturday or a Sunday. And I got nothing but respect for a guy like that. The biggest issue is when guys don't want to adapt with the times. And that's why these young coaches are coming in and they allowing these guys who they consider dinosaurs kind of fizzle out. And because these guys are so stubborn that they don't want to change themselves. They don't want to change their playbook. They don't want to get innovative. They don't want to change with the times. Like, they don't want to look like, even with Sean Payton, like that old dinosaur way of thinking he's talking about measurables for, defensive linemen. Like, how them 6'6", 6'7" linemen working out for you now, huh? Yeah, they got long wingspan, but they getting their behinds pushed back by these big mastodon offensive linemen. But you got guys like Nick and Joey Bosa, who are about 260 each. Guys like Roquan Smith, who are about 240. Like even Von Miller, all the years he was having them sacks. He's about 250. Like, these guys are small, but they pushing these guys back, and they're super athletic. And these big 300-pound offensive linemen can't get their hand on them because of that quick twitch they got. But you stood up here looking at 6'7" Marcus Davenport from UTSA, who ain't did a damn thing since he been in the NFL. No disrespect to the brother. I know he had some hardships, and I know he's battling with confidence and stuff like that. He's talked about, and I wish that brother get his head straight. Even if he don't end up on the Saints team, I hope that he has a career going forward. But we got to call it for what it is. This dude out here getting these dudes that nobody ever heard of. They're just tall. They're like they NBA point guards out there, but they ain't defensive linemen. Stay hurt. And meanwhile, you getting guys like Chase Young, who about 260. You get, like I said, man, the pass rushers that's getting home, the guys that are getting 15, 16 sacks are not 280 pounds and they not 6'7". TJ Watt is not 6'7". Like, these guys are getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis. But you sitting up here trying to draft Kevin Durant. Okay. TJ, would you say casuals are spoiled because they don't understand the nuance that goes into becoming a great player? Probably, that, and they listen to the dirt sheets. Like, and I don't want to discredit anybody that's not doing this. Okay. So obviously, if you don't do this, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the ones that when I look at their tweets or I look at their comments, I heard it like it's a Nick Underhill tweet, right? And they putting it in here verbatim, right? Or they're saying it verbatim, or it's a Stephen A. Smith. Like I rolled up on First Take and they saying the same thing he's saying. Like you gotta, I get that these guys are supposed to inform you, but you should never just take somebody's word for it and just leave it there. Like you should always do your own research. That's not a smart thing to do. But it also proves why this world and this society is in the state that it's in right now. Because we take everybody's opinion and we run with it. You know, if it feeds our agenda, we gonna do it, no matter if it's true or not. We don't care. Who got time to go search for the truth? Let's see. If Sean Payton wants 20 million plus, it must mean the Saints weren't willing to pay him that much. Now that is not true. That is not true. That no. All day, I'm telling you, that is not true. That is not true, man. So it seems like it's about money for Sean and not about personnel. That's not true, man. Gail Benson was willing to give this dude a blank check and say, put it right here. You know what I'm saying? They also was willing to give him opportunity to step away. They was going to like allow him to take a leave of absence and then come back. You know, so nah, it wasn't about money. Like they were willing to, they would have paid him anything he wanted. So that's not true. They will be willing to give him anything, man. I still can't believe we are keeping Pete. Is there any way we can get a petition going and run him out of town? I'm actually serious. Dude doesn't want to be here anyway. Well, I think he does want to be here now. If he didn't, he wouldn't have took the job. You know, if you taking a job and you don't want it, then I don't want you as a coach. Like I agree with you on that. So, but they feel like nothing wrong. They feel like the issues and the woes that they had wasn't coaching base. It was a player base. But we'll see. We'll see. I think we all know the truth, but they'll see. Every SOTS episode should be about Pete till we fire him. Man, I don't have time talking about Pete Carmichael. Pete Carmichael does not interest me at all. Like the way he is at that podium is how I feel about him. Boring, uninteresting, and you know, smart guy. I mean, you can't be in the league this long and not be smart, but I just, you know, I don't find this dude interesting. But we'll see. We'll see, man. I'm willing to give. Look, we ain't got no choice. Yeah, we ain't got no choice but to give him another opportunity. All Day Sports Talk 360. I gave you a follow on your channel on YouTube. Okay. Shouts out to Brian. TJ, do you think 3 years is enough of an adjustment period for a rookie quarterback? No, I don't. Now, it depends. Okay, 3 years as a starter, that's a large sample size, right? If you started all 17 games, right? If you started all 17 games, then for 3 years, yeah, that's a large sample size. Now, if a guy has been in the league for 3 years and is his first year as a starter and is in year 3, nah, that's not a large enough sample size. It's not a large enough sample size because who are you going up against? Your team every day? You know, maybe a couple little preseason steps, maybe some garbage time stuff. You know, if the game get out of hand, rather your team is dominating or the other team dominate, it's not enough of a sample size to say a guy is good or not. Not to me. And I definitely don't put injuries in that category. I don't. So TJ, who do you think we getting as our new running back and tight end coach? Honestly, I don't know. And I'm pretty sure they'll probably get somebody from the. Now, I'll tell you who I would get. I would get Greg Roman. I'll get Greg Roman. Like Greg Roman, no longer with the Baltimore Ravens. He was very instrumental with Lamar Jackson and his development. That I'll probably get Greg Roman if he's available. Don't know if he would want to be a running back coach, but that'll be the first person I call. We know he know what he's doing when it comes to that. So, TJ, what X receiver can we get to complement Olave? Just looking around the league, or we just talking about just in general. I don't know, man. I think you gotta. I would go into the draft and try to draft the guy. I would, because I feel like I don't feel like it was outlier between Olave and Shaheed. So me, and honestly, I didn't really look at the free agency. Let me see. Let me type this in real quick. Typing in free agents, NFL 2023. So let me see, because I would have to look at the list and see who would be a good fit. If y'all just forward me the chance just a second, I'm gonna try to see who's available, and then maybe I can answer that question. All right, so X out of that. So let me update it. All right, so I'm looking at the wide receivers. I'm trying to see if I can pull this up on the screen. I'm trying to see if I can pull this up on the screen, man, and so I can share with everybody. All right, so I apologize if you can't really see it. All right, so I don't know if everybody can see that. I apologize, but I'll just read off some of these names. All right, so you got Nelson Aguilar. That's not what you're looking for. He's more of a vertical threat. Sterling Shepard. I feel like the Giants probably gonna re-sign him. DJ Chark, no. Randall Cobb, no. Marvin Jones, yeah, that'll be a good fit. He's a guy that is more of a possession receiver, but he's going to be 33 years old by the start of 2023. Probably, if I'm looking at this list, probably the person that stands out is Adam Lazard. Adam Lazard probably would be the guy that stands out for me. And I look at Derek, I won't give him his credit because, he mentioned that. Yeah, Adam Lazard would be a good addition, to the team. I feel like, that would be a good fit. Adam Lazard, trying to still scroll down, see. Sammy Watkins ain't got too much left in the tank, but if they just needed somebody, yeah, he probably would kind of fit that mold. Still strolling. Yeah, that's about, man. Honestly, that's about it. Everything else, I just feel like you probably need to go ahead and roll to the, probably need to roll through the draft. Try to get yourself a big body receiver there. I feel like that's what you need to do. But Adam Lazard probably would be my top guy. Say, what about Juju? I think Juju did enough for him to get another contract in Kansas City. I don't think I think they're gonna sign him back. I agree, Keen Arthur on Lockett. We need a vet to go with the younger guy. Yeah, but you want to get a veteran, but you don't want to get a veteran that kind of fits the same mold, right? I like Tyler Lockett a lot. Like, man, very, very underrated wide receiver. But you want to get a guy that fits what you're looking for. You need a guy that can go get it, win those 50-50 ball matchups, and that's why I feel like you probably need to go. You need to go younger. I do. Like, if we're talking about getting the cap back into the middle, you need to draft some of these guys, and you can find talent. Like, look, you don't have to go first, second round to find a guy, because the guy that comes in is not going to be the number one receiver. We already know it's going to be Olave, and then if Rashid Shaheed continues his trajectory, you got yourself a two. And then you got Juwan Johnson, who I'm pretty sure they're gonna pay him. So you got yourself a tight end. You got yourself two good wide receivers. So if you end up getting a wide receiver in the third round, and that's a possession guy, like, what's wrong with that? Because he's not the guy that's supposed to get 100 catches. It'll be nice if you can grab somebody in the third round that's capable of doing that, but you don't need it. You don't need it. But I want to say thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Shouts out to you. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. And got a little bit of good news. The other day, I thought that my job would prohibit me from actually attending the Senior Bowl in Mobile, but turns out I will be able to go to Mobile instead. So I'll still be able to go to the Senior Bowl. So I'm excited about that. Probably gonna get out there around Thursday, and I'll make sure that keep you all up to date and make sure I go live and and have State of Saints podcast out there. And I'm excited about it, man. I mean, been working really, really hard for opportunity to be able to do these things, and getting the opportunity to do this is a blessing. So definitely be out there next week, and definitely going to keep you all posted. There's I know that Hendon Hooker, before I go, I have to mention this. I know Hendon Hooker is going to be out there. He's going to be answering questions and talking to the media and stuff like that. Of course, he's still dealing with the ACL injury, but that says a lot about him. That says a lot about him going out there, showing his face. I think that he's going to win a lot of people over with that decision. So keep it locked right here to the State of Saints podcast, State of Saints podcast network, Gumbo Pot Sports podcast, mostly done on weekends. So we're going to be doing that, breaking down the NFC and AFC championship games this weekend. And we're going to have some fun, man. We're going to have some fun. Super Bowl, definitely going to be doing something for the Super Bowl as well. And got some things coming up real soon. Gonna get some interviews here on the show, get some people to come and talk to everybody. So thank you all so much for your love and your support to the State of the Saints podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter if you are on Twitter at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?